Welcome to Dakota Growing. I'm Kelsey Deckert, your host here in Burleigh County, the horticulture agent, and I'm joined in the radio access studio by my co-host, Tom Kalb, NDSU Extension Horticulturalist. How's it going today?
It's okay.
It's okay?
It's okay, you know, it's kind of wintry.
Depressing.
It's wintry.
Came in
it's
today.
Blustery. Well, because I always hope winter can just not show up, you know.
Just skip it.
Can we just skip winter? Almost skipped it last year. But it's back now, and but here in Bismarck, Mandan, we're only going to get about an inch. So
Yeah, we're
I
not
can
up
deal
by
with that.
Canada where it sounds like
Yeah.
it's real bad.
Wow, that's a hard place to live up. Well, this is so a hard place to live, but up in the North Dakota, that's tough. They're probably going to get like, what, a foot of snow or something, or 8 inches.
I don't know.
It's going to be crazy.
The worst will be the wind, though. I mean, if you start getting that light snow and then the wind comes in, you'll be in a little snow globe up there.
Yeah, it's called a blizzard.
That's what it's called.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I didn't know before, is that I always thought it was just the amount of snow made it a blizzard, like a lot of snow. But actually, it's more like the wind
Right.
is really the problem. Like, you can have a blizzard, just a couple inches of snow, and it can be white out and
Right.
darn dangerous. But it's in the 30s right now, temperature-wise, so as long as it stays in the 30s, we're going to be okay.
Thanksgiving next week. Look at the
That's-
positives. Positives.
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
Okay, that's good. Yep, that is.
Time to be thankful, grateful, sit around the dinner table with family, friends.
Yep,
Yeah.
sounds great. But it'll be, I don't know, do you have like all the in-laws coming, everybody? You got a big
I don't
thing?
host. I don't have a big enough house to
Okay.
host. But we'll go to in-laws and then my families, so it'll be good.
Well, my in-laws, they're all in Vietnam, so that's a long drive, so I'm not going to be making it to see them. And they don't speak English. That's another problem on the Thanksgiving table. But it's okay. But, yeah, the rest of my family, they're all Minnesotans. So kind of will just be my
Immediate family.
Just my immediate family, my wife and kids, and
Yeah.
hopefully my college kids can make it here. Hopefully the snow stays away.
It'll
like
be good.
The rest of the winter, hopefully.
It'll be good.
Yeah,
It'll
it's
be
good. So what is this festive thing you got going on here? Man, it looks
Ooh.
spectacular. Gotta
Thank you.
say.
Looks spectacular.
Yeah, I'll just say, man, you went to Hobby Lobby. And,
That's right.
is that right?
That's right. I went to Hobby Lobby.
That's a great store.
Yeah, you know what? I figured we're getting on that festive season, so why not talk about creating some winter arrangements? And I'm going to focus on today using like live branches. Obviously, this is
Oh.
not live, but it's just demonstration for today and everything. So just kind of talk about the process
beautiful.
and what you need to do to care for those.
Well, I can make it as a gift.
That's right. That's right. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. So we're going to talk about creating some winter arrangements, and today I'm going to start by talking about creating like a winter pot or porch arrangement. And so some excellent plants that work really well for that winter decor are going to be obviously your evergreens, so spruce, juniper, pine, arborvitae. I know if you want a little pop of color, that red twig dogwood is going to be really good. A lot of people like to add in white, so some paper birch would be good. Winterberry, red winterberry, and then even adding in some ornamental grasses all work really well. So have you ever created a winter arrangement?
I have to say, maybe when I was in grade school, I had to do it.
You didn't host anyone in Wisconsin when you were a county agent?
To do winter arrangements?
Yeah, with live plants.
No, I never did that. That's come on. I'm like a vegetable and fruit guy. Like I don't care about this. This is okay. I don't want to say about it. It's kind of like feminine stuff. I'm not really into that. Not that it's wrong for a man to do it, but that's just not my style. I'm just
That's
not.
right. It's okay.
My wife likes that kind of stuff, so that's good. So let her do that stuff, and I'll just sit on the couch and watch football. That's
I've done a couple workshops over the years, and it's always a popular hit. And yes, I don't think I've ever seen any male in the room, but men.
Yeah, right.
But
see,
women do love it. Something fun, especially those who want to, not be Grinches and just have Christmas start
I
right
like
after
Christmas.
Halloween.
I love Christmas. I love Christmas. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't even taken down my Christmas tree the whole year. How about that? Can you believe that?
Just put the bag over it?
I just take the ornaments off, and then it's right there in the corner. It's like an artificial plant. And
do you put different ones on for different seasons?
maybe next year.
Yeah.
But I love Christmas. I really do, especially when you got kids. It's just tremendous. It's the best time of the year. It really is. So that early December, getting ready for and 10 days. We have the 10 days of Christmas in my family. I give a gift every day for 10 days before Christmas, a little tiny, $1 gift. So I love Christmas. But winter arrangements, just not
your forte.
That's okay. But still, please carry on.
Okay. So some other items, floral decorations, ornaments, lights. These days with the lights, I will have to say they have, all the little battery operated to throw in there, garland, all of that. So I think it's really easy. And then, of course, not where I live because I've had to put in my own trees, but a lot of people have some trees in their yards already that they can easily just go and prune some of this stuff out to create it, So it's good.
So
it's easy.
Make sure you prune. How do you do that? Just where there's so it won't look like you're missing a branch, huh?
Right.
And don't cut off the top of the tree.
No,
I wouldn't do that. Don't do that.
Don't be topping them.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, so I would say just kind of the steps to create that outdoor, I have on there, just make sure that you are conditioning your greenery ahead of time. So, yeah.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? If you're making those fresh cuts
Condition it.
Yeah, do like a angle cut on those branches. And then a lot of places suggest, like when I've researched this, to put them in a bucket of water for a few hours.
Yep.
Yeah, well, not where they're, covered in water, but where those branches can take up some of that moisture.
Keep them fresh.
Keep them fresh.
It's like a Christmas tree. You got to give it some water.
That's right.
It's a real Christmas
Long
tree.
lasting. So I would say first and foremost, just create a container of interest, We're going to talk about this one later, but an outdoor porch container. A lot of times even people will have some that are permanent that, now they are done with their summer ones, right? So now they can just go in and throw in some branches to do it. Fill with soil. That soil is really going to serve as stability. And so if you're doing this from the start, it's really, you don't really have to worry about your quality of soil so much. So I would just say, right now, if you can find like a really cheap bag of potting soil, that'll be perfect enough for this. And then when you're doing your outdoor arrangement, add in some of those bare branches or taller branches to kind of create the height of your arrangement. And so a lot of times, I know we've talked about it before, many people know if you've done any arrangements, if you think like thriller, filler, and spiller, so your thriller is going to be your focal point. Filler is going to fill in all that empty space, whether that's with, additional branches or even embellishments. And then spiller just to kind of overlay the container again to fill it in. So you'll add in those extra branches, any embellishments that you want. And then what I would say is go ahead and water that container thoroughly. And especially right now, we're going to get a good freeze, so that soil will hold everything in place really good. So this is from a few years ago, probably several years ago now, but just some ones that you can see that are really simple. Added a couple ornaments, pine cones. There was some red twig dogwood in there as well, so easy enough. You can easily do that.
I think I'd use sand.
Sand too, yeah.
Because it's heavy.
Well, it depends on if you're going to go somewhere and then you want to carry that container to your car or not, right?
Or is this going to stay indoors or outdoors?
Well, this one that I talked about is outdoor.
Yeah, I don't want it to
You
blow
can
away.
do it, yeah.
I
well,
want it
get
heavy.
it in an area that's not going to be windy, right?
Oh, yeah, that's another idea.
Yeah, right. Okay, how about let's create a winter wreath right now. If you don't want to go and support the Boy Scouts, right? They're usually the ones who...
Or I'll tell you, Hobby Lobby in January. That's
Actually, just right after Christmas.
It's like,
90% off.
Yeah, 90% off in the back of the store, man. It's like, oh my God.
Go hog wild, then you'll be ready for next year.
$3, There you go. Just saying.
Just saying.
And also, there's many other fine stores. Just that. Don't want to just say go to only one store, but
right.
I'm just saying, yeah, we got to have a wreath to welcome your visitors at the door and show that you've got the Christmas spirit.
That's right. So again, if you want to look at the different greenery to use, like spruce, pine, juniper, fir, those are all going to be really good for that. And then some other items and tools to use. You're going to need to get a wire wreath frame. And I put farm, sorry for that typo there, but you can find those at the dollar store. So again, you want to be on a budget. You can find those at the dollar store.
Oh, the $1.50 store?
$1.25, right?
$1.25
yeah. Well, you can find them there. You're going to want some floral wire. And again, a little bit thicker gauge just to hold those branches in place. Pruning shears, a wire cutter. Cardboard is going to be suggested as you get working, especially, again, with some of those fresher cuts, just with the sap, and then any type of embellishments. And one thing I didn't include on here, but I would recommend, depending on the branches you're using, probably want a good pair of gloves and some long sleeves when you're doing this, just so you're not poking yourself. Okay, so steps to create a wreath. Let's go ahead and get that cardboard out on the table, or if you have, a craft table, that's great, but get something where, again, you're probably going to get some sap on there, so something you can cover it up and get your wire wreath frame. And then you're going to wrap the end of the wire around the frame to kind of firmly attach it, and you'll start with whatever kind of greens you have, cut them into anywhere from 4 to 8 inch sections. And you're going to start to layer those and wrap the wire around, and you're going to go in that circular shape. So you're going to continue this process just around the whole wreath and kind of fill in any of those bare areas. That wire, you're not going to see any of it. And then finally go ahead, decorate it, and attach whatever kind of hanger you want. So here's some examples. Beautiful, right? Easy enough. Pine cones work great, dried fruit, any of that. So just some tips for you is you do want to use fresh greens, any older branches or things that you have in condition, they are going to dry out a little bit faster. Think about using different greens for texture in those wreaths. You want to keep them in the same size. A lot of times people will get working and they'll get smaller or larger, and then you have a lopsided wreath. And then any spaces or areas that you see maybe some of the brown branches, just use those decorations. As far as care, if this is going to be hung outside, avoid any windy locations. If it's indoor, it's only going to last about 7 to 10 days. So maybe think about when you have somebody coming around, if you're hosting family holidays and stuff, when to get one up. And then you also want to keep it out of the direct sunlight, and you can use an anti-desiccant as well, just to kind of help keep that freshness going. So you can do it. Anybody could do this.
Yep, it's
easy enough, right?
Like a good project, or
Good project.
I just use it's like, I have to say, I just use plastic. It's just a plastic wreath, like.
You don't have to worry about it drying out. It's forever green.
Just like a artificial Christmas tree.
That's right. Use it year after year. Don't have
That's the other way to,
Maybe you want some of that fresh.
I feel like a Grinch on
evergreen.
this show here today. I don't know why.
Maybe you want fresh, evergreen smell in your house.
Yeah, but you can get Glade for that. There's
That's
artificial freshener.
That's true.
Wow.
Maybe we just got to take you out of the camera for this section for a while. Right? Okay, last one, and then I'll let the Grinch
But at
go
least
ahead.
you know yours is an original,
That's right.
custom, nothing else like it.
That's right.
Special.
It is.
That's important.
Something to do with your gal pals, I guess.
I guess.
A girls' night or whatever.
Maybe.
Okay, so how about let's finally wrap it up with creating a table arrangement, which I did bring one in today. And so again, what do you need? You're going to need those greens. You want a decorative waterproof dish, wet floral foam, so there is a difference. You want a wet one that's going to be able to absorb that moisture and water. Or if you don't want to use floral foam, one thing that works really good if you are using like a decorative box is you can use glass jars and fill them with water to insert the branches. Any type of bare branches, again, whether you want like paper birch that has white or again the red twig dogwood, those work really good. Embellishments, if you are going to use any candles in these, I would recommend using like a battery operated, just again, we don't want any accidental fires going on. So some steps here is you need to cut that foam to fit into the box or add those glass jars that are going to be shorter than the box throughout. And again, like I said, you'll add water. Decide what your center focus will be, whether it's candles, a tree topper, really whatever your heart desire is. And then you're going to prep that greenery by removing lower needles and cutting off at an angle. Those lower needles are going to help you insert it into the foam a lot easier. So like this one that I did yesterday again, this is fake because we want it to last and look beautiful for the show. But I just started
And
out
for next year's show.
That's right. I'll just bring it out every year.
Sure.
I just started with the bottom on this one, and a lot of places, I'm not an artist, but a lot of places suggested doing like a diamond shape with the box and everything. So I started with the lower branches. I cut my foam and I started inserting those. And then I went to my taller branches that were going to be my center focus in there.
That's the thriller.
That's the thriller, yep, so my white. And then I added in the pine and the spruce. And after that, I just kind of added in any of my embellishment and anything that I wanted to pop with that. And then last but not least, it's harder to see. This was probably the hardest part, was just creating the actual bow on here as well. So it's easy. If you look at, again, continuing kind of the photos I showed, just showing you how you arrange that greenery, either by sticking it into that foam or into the jars.
Yep.
Add those embellishments. You can see a little ornament, pine cone. And then last but not least, consider putting some ribbon around the box. So, easy enough.
Yeah, I like that. Like you talked about different evergreens for different textures.
Yeah.
And the red you got here is, like I could see a red twig dogwood having, not as glittery, but a natural red color.
You could
see what
spray
it is.
paint it.
What happened to our natural theme here we're going?
Just
You're
saying,
heading
if you
my
want-
way now.
If you want green, if you want that pop, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And ornamental grasses, you talked about that. That's a
Yeah.
natural way too.
It'd be easy.
It can be done.
Can be done. And with the table arrangement, again, because it has the wet floral foam or the jars, probably going to see that around that close to a 2-week period of it lasting and not drying out too bad.
Yeah.
So you want to put something on the Thanksgiving table? Here's a project over our next couple blustery days. So before I turn it over, one thing I just want to invite anybody who is listening, Burleigh County Extension is going to host a holiday open house on Monday, December 9th, 2 to 6 p.m. at our office. And we just invite anybody in the public who wants to come learn more about Extension, what we do. I hear Santa's going to be there, so
Impossible.
it's impossible.
Isn't he busy right now?
He's taking time out of his
This
schedule to
must be
hear.
a big event here for
to hear
Santa
what-
to come all the way from the North Pole.
That's right.
Wow.
He wants to hear what the
How
kids
about
want
Rudolph?
for Christmas. I don't think any Rudolphs.
No deer.
No,
So
but
how's it going to get down here?
I don't know.
The magic of Santa.
The magic of Santa. We'll have some giveaway door prizes, including my lovely arrangement I put together today. And yeah, just some light snacks and everything. We just want people to come out and learn a little bit more about what each of us agents do and programs and see if there's any needs from the community we're missing out there. So.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going to turn it over to you. How about that?
Okay. Thank you.
You're going to talk about how your heart shrinks being a Grinch.
It's already shrunk.
Okay.
You have to start singing the song.
That's right.
Are you ready? Bahu, bahu.
Yeah.
Bahu, bahu, bahu. And then my heart all of a sudden explodes open 3 times.
Times the size.
And then my pet dog, who's my reindeer,
Maxie.
Max. It's great. But since you're talking about the Grinch, can't beat Charlie Brown and Peanuts Christmas. That's the best show on TV of history.
Yeah.
Right? Like 1965.
That's right.
Before you were around. But I remember watching that every year. That was a beautiful. Charles Schultz from Minnesota. Okay, so that's the best show. I recommend everybody see the Christmas Charlie Brown, Peanuts, and Linus at the end. Okay, yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to keep the holiday theme going, and we're going to start by talking a little bit about Dakota pumpkins and squash. All right, it's just
this was at the Thanksgiving table, the first Thanksgiving.
Here you are, the first Thanksgiving, and you know what? That was like about 400 years ago. That's a long time, man. Yeah. 400 years. Wow.
Right.
And those are simple times. And squash or pumpkins were a very important part of how the Pilgrims survived. Here's a little poem that they made, that a pilgrim made. We have pumpkins at morning and pumpkins at noon. If it were not for pumpkins, we should be undoomed. Okay, they survived off pumpkins. They were very thankful for pumpkins. They were thankful that they finally found land after they traveled across the ocean. I'm sure they said, thank God we found some land. And then the Native Americans, I'm sure, taught them how to grow pumpkins and share their pumpkins with them. Because pumpkins is not a European crop. Pumpkins is it's a Native American crop, or what do you call it? It's a New World crop. But speaking of Native Americans, let's head to Dakotas. And this is, I think, the most famous gardener in the history of North Dakota. This is Buffalo Bird Woman. And if anybody's interested in learning about how the native tribes of North Dakota garden, she's got the Buffalo Bird Woman. She's got her chronicles. And actually, it's a great book. I have it, and also it's available online for free. You can just read it online. And she was interviewed by like an archaeologist about 100 years ago, and she gave very in-depth description on how they grew their crops, and that included like the Three Sisters garden that a lot of us are familiar with. And squash was an important element of it. The squash with the beans and the maize. The squash was one of the sisters, and it served as a living mulch to conserve moisture and choke out weeds. And also, you can see here, there's like a border fence there, and squash is being grown along the border as a way to repel deer and wildlife and the neighbor. There you go.
Sounds like she was ahead of her time.
Yeah, definitely, of course. Their life depended on it. They had, you couldn't just goof off and go to the grocery store if you have a bad crop. It all had to do with survival. And squash is a very important element of it. So squash is very important, and they would slice it up, and then they would dry it out. And they would protect it, dry it, and then they would consume it over winter. The nice thing about that Three Sisters garden is that they didn't just complement each other as a crop, but they complement each other in the diet. Legumes and squash and the maize, they all complemented each other. So squash is a very important part of our history here in North Dakota. And if you'd like to grow, I would say the most popular Dakota squash is called Lakota. And nowadays it's it's very beautiful. It's almost as beautiful as this winter arrangement you have here. Maybe you could even add it as part of your winter
There you
arrangement
go.
for Thanksgiving. But Dakota, you can get these seeds. Go online, you can find these seeds. And, it's an old variety, so it's not especially productive. And, it's susceptible to diseases. You got to be a smart grower. But the fruits themselves are just beautiful, and this is a true Lakota squash, so it's edible, nutritious. So I think it's one of the most beautiful squashes there is.
Just naturally has that green in it, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
All kinds. Every squash is a little bit different. And another important squash of North Dakota is buttercup squash. And, we're very proud that in 1930, the North Dakota Ag College introduced this squash to the world. So buttercup squash is from North Dakota. It's from us, and it's revered around the world for its flesh quality and taste. So buttercup squash, very important in our North Dakota history. And this looks like the variety Burgess, which is early ripening. You got to find early ripening squash. Anything that's more than 100 days is a little bit risky in North Dakota, but Burgess squash is probably the most popular variety across the United States, and it's early. But it's a long vine. If you have a short vine, then this variety called Bonbon. It has a compact bush type, and it's done very well in our North Dakota trials. That's a modern variety there. So you can grow your own buttercup squash. And then as far as pumpkins, we're all so we all love our piece of pumpkin pie, and you see the corner there on the upper right corner, that Libby's pumpkin, right? Libby's pure pumpkin. That's the emphasis. 100% pure pumpkin. But actually, to be honest, it has no pumpkin in it. It's more like it's a butternut squash. It's using. I'll show you what it looks like. This is what they use. It's called, and you can buy this seed. It's called Dickinson's butternut squash. That's what Libby's grows, hundreds of acres of, like Indiana. And so that's what they use for their pumpkin pie filling. And the FDA lets them get off by calling it pumpkin because they're closely related and they have a golden flesh inside. And so, but we've grown Dickinson squash. It's not the special strain that Libby's has, but it's a good pie making. It's a little bit later than what I like, so I would recommend that you get. Well, if you slice it open, it looks like this. I think again, getting back to the North Dakota theme, again that Dickinson squash is a butternut squash, and again we have buttercup squashes also, and I think the best squash pie is from a variety also developed in North Dakota called Uncle David's Dakota Dessert squash. Uncle David's Dakota Dessert squash.
It's meant to be a pie. Calling it a dessert.
That's right. It's made for a dessert. That's
there
right.
You go.
And the other thing about buttercup and butternut squashes is that they'll be more flavorful if you store them for a couple months in the basement, and they develop richer flavor that way. But people always ask me, what's the best pumpkin variety to grow to make a pie? And I always say, you just don't grow a pumpkin. You should be growing a butternut or buttercup squash. And that Uncle David's is a good one. Okay, one other crop to talk to you about Thanksgiving, and that would be, what's this, Kelsey?
Looks like cranberries.
All right, so how was your cranberry crop this year?
Non-existent.
That's right. That's right. That's because cranberries can't grow in North Dakota very well because our soil's not right. They're not made to be grown on the prairie. They're made to be grown like in swamps and bogs.
Yeah.
They have to have acid soil, and our soils are alkaline. So I would hazard a guess that North Dakota, out of our 50 states, ranks number 50 in cranberry production. So don't even bother. But here's I thought I'd share this. How do you ever get the name cranberry? And you know what? The cran, it gets from crane. The flowers look like a crane's.
Yeah.
See, like it's got like a like a beak sticking
yeah.
out there in the curved neck. So that's something you can talk about. If you don't know what to talk about at the Thanksgiving table next week, you can say, by the way, did you ever know how they got the name cranberry? And tell them about the flowers are in the shape of a crane's head. There you go.
I think it's pretty cool though. Like I've seen videos and images of like harvesting cranberries.
Oh,
and,
really like
your
this?
There you go. I'm jumping ahead of you.
There you go.
They do that in Wisconsin though, right?
That's right. I used to.
Pretty big.
I've led a tour of I didn't do anything about winter arrangements as a county agent, but I did arrange a tour of cranberry farms.
Those sound probably far more interesting.
It was fascinating, and
Yeah.
they don't grow in water. Okay, what they do is they add the water for the harvest, and then what happens is the berries will float.
They flood the area.
They flood the area right before the harvest, and then the berries on the ground will float up to the top, and they're easier to harvest that way.
That would be neat. Very neat.
Yeah, that is cool.
Experience.
That's cool. That's cool.
And so they use the yellow to like
Yeah.
basically contain it
That's
in and
right.
make it easier to
Yeah.
harvest, huh?
Yep. Yep.
How long does it take? Like, I mean, when you went on that tour, do you remember when they say harvesting? Is it,
Well, I
I mean,
think
to
it's a-
flood it and then
yeah.
to contain it?
It's a few days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, this is a picture. A lot of it's mechanized. So, and actually you don't have to flood it. You can harvest it without flooding. There's machines that will harvest dry land harvesting. But the flooding makes it a lot easier. Yeah, it takes a few days. But it's all, it's a family business. It's,
Yeah.
it's a generation on generation thing. Like you don't just start that way. These cranberry farms have been going on for generations, and they have the equipment. They got the system down, and it's communities that share equipment. And Ocean Spray is the dominant company, and they work in collaboration with the growers. It's kind of cool. We can't grow cranberries, but here's something that we can grow. And this also ripens red this time of year, and that's a cranberry bush, American cranberry bush viburnum. It tastes sour. It's very sour, but maybe you could use this as a decoration too in your winter arrangement. But you can't grow cranberries in North Dakota. Don't even try it. Don't be tempted by the seed catalogs. Cranberries and blueberries, forget about it. Okay, but one thing about this cranberry bush viburnum, it reminds me of attracting birds. It's a favorite food of birds. So I'm going to just talk for a few minutes here and talk about attracting birds to your yard.
I've been seeing some owls in the morning. It's always fun for me.
Do you have a mouse problem in the house? Is that what's going on?
No, like on my drive to town. They're always on the, the highline poles and stuff. They're out there.
Oh,
And then occasionally in the wintertime, we see snow owls too.
yeah.
Those are fun.
Yeah. That's cool. Nature's cool, isn't it?
It is.
It is. But I bet you never put up a bird feeder, huh?
I don't have a spot for a bird
Don't
feeder.
have a bird feeder?
I mean, I guess I could put it on a post, but
Yeah.
that's
What's wrong
what I
with
would
that?
have to do. No
That's
trees.
That's the best way.
Yeah,
You got to leave room for your winter arrangement, though.
that's right.
Well, my family, we had a big bird feeding station by our dinner table, and like whenever we were eating, it's so fun watching the birds fly in and out, grabbing a seed, going back to their nest, flying back at a seed, and like here's like some cardinals flying around. And just beautiful movements and the colors, like there's bright colors like this goldfinch, and you can see their motions are kind of, here's like a little sharing some seeds or courting, so that's kind of a lot of fun things going on, and fighting for seeds too. There's a lot of bird fights going on, squirrel problems.
You can do bird bingo. That's something I've heard people
Bird
do.
bingo.
Yeah.
Like they say, okay, what kind of bird's gonna come to the feeder
Like
next?
you put together a card
I
with
got
various
a
birds.
Finch.
When they come
Finch
to your
6.
place, you exit off. And then you can do bird bingo with friends.
While you're making a winter arrangement.
Right.
So you've got it all in line here. Well, here's that picture of that viburnum again. Now, one thing about if you want to attract birds, you got to provide everything. Every critter on Earth needs like three things. They got to have food, and they got to have water, and they got to have sanctuary, shelter. So when you want to attract birds, you got to provide food all year round. And so, like, the nice thing about this viburnum, it's red now, but it's very sour. But it's so sour the birds will eat other stuff now, and that will leave the viburnum berries there. And this adds beauty to our winter landscape. Nice splashes of red color, while the rest of the landscape's all gray and drab. So viburnum's beautiful. Viburnum will grow well in North Dakota. There's lots of viburnums. Arrowwood has blueberries. This is the cranberry bush viburnum, and the American type is good for birds, and easy to grow. And they grow about depends on it. They can grow 4 to 10 feet tall, depending on the variety you get. And beautiful white flowers, and a nice red fall color, and then these beautiful berries in the wintertime. That the berries, after the winter goes through, they will ferment and mellow out, and then the birds will start gobbling them up in early spring, late winter, early spring, when their natural food sources are really scarce. And like, here's a robin. This was a robin that came to town too early, and it couldn't, there's no bugs or anything to eat yet, and so it's eating these crab apples. And so I always look, if I buy a crab apple tree, I want to buy a variety that has persistent fruits that hang on the tree. These are like small pea-sized fruits that will hang on the tree all winter long, and again, some red color. In summer, cherries are beautiful. Cherries are the birds. I battle the birds every year on my cherry tree, first the fruits. And here's a cedar waxwing on a mountain ash tree, and that's a nice source of fall food for the birds. They love that. So some basics as far as feeding birds, and winter is the key time because their natural food sources are not there. If you want to have lots of different birds, you got to have different feeders, because each bird has its own special type of feeder it likes. It's like it has its own special restaurant that it wants to go to. So like you say, like, you can stick a wooden box with a roof on a post. That's the best one. That the most kinds of birds will be most attracted to that. But there's also nylon covered wire cages and tube feeders. So like, here's a picture of if it's sturdy, if you put it on a post, that will attract both big birds like this northern flicker there, and smaller birds too. And also the seed is kind of sheltered so it won't blow out. Compared to here, when it's hanging, it's not as sturdy. And like today, man, there'd be no seeds left on that after one day. They'd all be eating on the ground here. But it's really only the smaller birds that are comfortable here. Like, you won't get a flicker on this, for example. It's just too unsteady for it. And then here's, like, woodpeckers love these suets in the nylon-covered wire cages. So it's a pileated woodpecker there. Like a vicious bill there.
Yeah, I was going to say, he looks kind of evil. Nasty? He's looking for the trees.
He's looking to emerald ash borer. That's what he's going after. He's our friend.
Oh.
See, we all got to learn how to live together, Kelsey.
Thought he's kind of the
and don't
villain.
Judge a bird by its look.
He does look evil.
Do you think Woody Woodpecker's evil? No, he's kind of funny. He's kind of easy
funny.
Guy.
He is funny.
See? He just has he's got a special look, If you were a female woodpecker, you'd be very attracted to that. Think of it that way. And these tube feeders are very attracted by these smaller birds. Again, so multiple feeders do the good job. Often this is sunflower seeds, which is the most popular seed mix, the black oil type, because they're loaded with calories, and birds need calories to stay warm in winter. But Niger thistle is a very popular seed in tube feeders, because like finches really like that stuff, and they're the ones that are going to go to the tube feeders. Okay, and so the bird feeding basics, you get quality seed, not cheap seed. The cheap seed that has like peanut hulls and low quality seeds. You want to stay away from that. You want oil type sunflower and white proso millet. Those are probably the two most valuable types of quality seeds that will attract the most birds. And again, some birds like suet, like that beautiful pileated woodpecker who's underappreciated for beauty. And also like chickadees, they really like that. And then Niger thistle. That Niger thistle is very expensive seed, so it just, but that's like a special treat. So different seeds, different feeders will attract more birds. So there you go. Those are black seed. Now, where are you going to stick your bird feeder? I always thought it was dangerous putting your feeder near the window because I worried the birds would crash and burn, and get, knock their heads on the window. But actually, studies have shown that it's okay to put the feeder around 3 feet from your window because they can never build up enough steam or speed when they accidentally hit the window. So keep it near a favorite window. Like in my house, it was right on the kitchen table window, so we could all watch it right there. And you got to keep it away from the wind. And then you got to have cover within 5 feet. So the cover is important because, well, and I'll talk about it in a second. And then you want it 5 feet off the ground. So you got to have cover within 5 feet and get it at least 5 feet above the ground. And that's because there's a lot of enemies out there. I think we just don't appreciate how nature is like it's such a dangerous place. Like I can't hire a bird feeding police person out at my feeder. The birds come at their own risk, and they won't come if it's a risky place. So it's nice to have like some evergreens nearby. So if there's any danger, they can just scoot, fly to the feeder and then grab a seed and fly back to the evergreen. So they're minimize their exposure to danger, and that's why we got to get it off the ground. Because those cats and squirrels can be pesky too. So get it off the ground, like put on sturdy posts is best if you can, and have some sanctuary nearby. 5 feet's nice, 5 to 10 feet. Also, you want to make sure that the wildlife can't jump from the sanctuary onto the bird feeder. So, like no launching pads that squirrels can use to jump on the feeder.
A cat could climb, I guess, if they really wanted.
Yeah, well, you can use like baffle cones. Cones. Baffle cones. You put that below the feeder, and you put the feeder here. And there's also baffle cones you can put on top of it, and then the squirrel will just slide off, or the cat will just slide off the baffle cone. So there's different ways that we can use them. And like there's squirrel-proof feeders they'll have a weight mechanism so that if anything heavy lands on the perch, it will come down and close the feeder, so the squirrel can't get any food then. So there's a lot of fancy gimmicks. Of course, my old secretary, she had her own way to battle squirrels. She electrified her bird feeder.
Oh, wow.
And every time she had a squirrel, she would turn it on and buzz that squirrel.
She was serious about her bird bingo.
She enjoyed that. She enjoyed that. She was a funny person. I loved her. She was a great person. And but that's the way she handled squirrels, electricity. But I don't recommend that. You can use baffle cones and height and baffle cones and weight mechanisms. And also you can always have a squirrel feeder. Put the squirrel feeder on the other side of the yard with some cob corn. That works too. And then also the last thing about we can also help with sanctuary by the type of trees you plant. Like this is a hawthorn. Here's a chickadee on a hawthorn. Hawthorn's a great tree because it's got thorns, and that makes this tree cat-proof. No cat's going to mess around in a hawthorn or like a Russian olive or a silverberry, those kind of trees with thorns on them. Or here's a little chickadee in a rose. And like a rugosa rose with those thorns sticking out. That's important sanctuary for those birds. So think about when you landscape, try to find plants that can serve as nesting spots as well as provide food. And lastly, of course, you got to have evergreens to stop the wind, and those prickly spruce needles can provide sanctuary for birds too. So I encourage everybody to you bring wildlife to your yard and, set up a bird feeder, and you can have a nice time watching the birds this winter when you got nothing else to do.
Sounds like a great plan.
That's all I got this time.
That's good. So we'll have our annual holiday episode coming up, right?
Of course. Can I just get through this one first?
That's
and you're
right.
already.
I'm
such
just
a taskmaster,
festive, man.
You're a taskmaster.
Festive.
I just got done. Okay, when's the next episode? Come on, Tom. Let's go, Tom.
Let's go, Tom. We got to do our
Come on.
annual holiday episode.
Yeah, I've got. We can talk about Christmas stuff, huh?
That's right.
And
You said it's your favorite season, so you should be excited
there's
about
no
that.
doubt about it. That is it's just wonderful. It's just we
It
have the
is.
whole family and kids it's so great with kids, and that opening up presents on Christmas, just
It's a joy.
pure joy. So
It is.
anyhow, let's hope it's a brown Christmas. That's what I hope too. Or just like maybe get an inch of snow on Christmas Eve.
Just a light dusting.
That's right, just like we're getting today.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for joining us today on Dakota Growing. And as always, we hope that you will listen to us on podcast and join us on future episodes. And with that, we will see you guys in December.
Dakota Growing is a gardening show brought to you by Dakota Media Access and NDSU Extension. We discuss a variety of timely topics pertaining to your landscape, along with giving you tips and advice for your lawn, garden, and trees. If you have questions, call 701-221-6865 or email ndsu.burley.extension@ndsu.com. Dakota Growing airs on Radio Access 102.5 FM, Community Access Channel 12 or 612 HD, or online at freetv.org.